An Arizona millionaire is killed in plain sight after a golf game. Now, was he targeted by the mob? Was his socialite wife out to take his fortune? For this week's 48 Hours, Peter Van Zandt sits down with her for an exclusive interview, and he unravels the explosive crime that took 20 years to solve.
It was a beautiful wedding. We had a wonderful relationship. I was very in love. Very, very in love.
Pam Phillips and Gary Triano married back in 1986. He was a wheeler-dealer, made a lot of money, mostly running Indian bingo parlors, a kind of gambling casino. She made some big money in commercial real estate. But all that glitters is not gold. And after 7 years and 2 children, the marriage broke up. Gary's businesses went downhill, and he apparently owed a ton of money.
Your husband, he owed a casino in Las Vegas several $1 million, $1.8 million to an ex-wife, $91,000 to an attorney, hundreds of thousands of dollars to a group of Mexican investors who people said were involved in criminal activity.
Probably.
In 1996, someone murdered Gary Triano at his country club.
Gary Triano finishes playing a game of golf, walks to his car, and there's an explosion.
There's some kind of an explosion in the country club parking lot. I guess it's a massive fire.
Everybody looked at that and said, that's a signature mob hit.
We're on an explosives range in the remote mountains of New Mexico. Over those hills, about 40 miles from here, is where they detonated the first atomic bomb. These ATF agents,
watch your strap,
they worked the Triano bombing and came up with some crucial clues. They recreated the blast for 48 hours.
2, 1.
You must have asked, who could have killed Gary?
I immediately thought, who is it that he hadn't paid? He had life threats. I had life threats. The children had life threats. We're talking about Mexican mafia people you don't cross. There was serious, serious things going on.
And many fascinating theories of the crime. But there were always some nagging suspicions.
Did Pam ever talk to you about Gary's business associations with organized crime?
Never.
Never?
Never.
She was one of your closest friends. No talk about mob-related people?
Never.
Threatening phone calls at the house?
That's absurd.
Do you believe Pam would have done anything for money?
Well, yeah.
Wow. Senior executive producer of 48 Hours, Susan Zirinsky, joins us now. I mean, it's been almost 20 years since this case, so how are investigators breaking open new leads?
You know, this is what was so fascinating about this case. Almost 20 years to solve it. But the reality was it was such a tangled web with so many suspects. I mean, they mentioned, was it a Mexican mob hit? Was it an Aryan nation? He had some really bad business deals. The guy owed a lot of money. So unraveling this group of people it was like if I had gone to Hollywood and pitched you this as a movie, you would have said, no, can't do it, way too complicated. But the reality of this, an unbelievable bomb, unbelievably powerful, and a cast of characters that was 10 miles long.
When you guys are sitting down with the wife in this case, did she feel like the guy who was killed was the same man that she had married? Or did she discover that did she say that she discovered they were different people?
Look, the reality was it was a really great marriage, but people think that she was a gold digger, that she was a socialite wannabe. She did have her own fortune when she married him, but when his money began to dry up, I think she was out of there. The best friend had never heard about some of these really odd business practices.
But did she have the means to pull off something like that?
She did not. Listen, the question after 18 years, they start to say it wasn't this, it wasn't this. They started to look at her. There was a $2 million life insurance policy. She was the trustee. She'd get the money. They started to look to her. But this was not something she was going to do alone, and there is another person involved. So they focus in on the wife. This is an update for us, and it's kind of crazy when you have people of that means, and you know we're living Aspen and you know Vegas and crazy lifestyles. It's really unusual when they resort to murder for money.
Very exciting. Susan, thank you so much for coming on and giving us a little bit of a preview.
Little taste.
Don't forget, you can catch Peter Van Zandt's full report, The Hit, on 48 Hours tomorrow at 10, 9 Central, only on CBS. We're back after a quick break. This is CBSN.